Okay. Is everyone ready? Are you all in position? Are we good? It's been 5 seconds and I've already messed up. I don't have my beverage. I didn't get my beverage. And you know what makes this even worse? I knew that I needed a beverage. I went upstairs. Okay. I just streamed the Fortnite stream. And it was good. Thank you guys for hanging out if you did see that. And then I went upstairs. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make a podcast. It's the weekend. It's time for a podcast. And actually, I even messed up before that. It's just a series of me messing up because this camera had been on all night. It luckily slept, so it seems to have battery still, and it's at 2 bars. But there's a high probability that the camera will shut off in like 5 minutes. And I was supposed to charge it while doing the Fortnite stream, but I forgot. And then I finished the Fortnite stream and I went upstairs and I ate a brownie. And the brownie was really good. And I actually there's like half of a brownie left still and I want to go get it. But the whole point of going upstairs was to get something to drink for a podcast, which could still end up being cut short because I forgot to charge the camera. Hope you guys like the podcast. On today's show, we have a special guest lined up called the Internet. Now, the Internet's a great guest. I've had him before, but I'm thinking about how to improve this podcast. And one way, which I don't know, this is probably not going to happen because I could see how it would definitely stray from what normally I like to listen to in podcasts, and that is doing a live podcast. Now, I've mentioned this before, but since working and driving like an hour and a half every day and then sitting at a desk for 9 hours a day, I listen to a ton of podcasts now because I like music, but it gets a little bit boring and I want to hear something else. So I've been listening to Ear Biscuits, which is Rhett and Link. I listened to H3H3, listened to Tiny Meat Gang podcast, Views with David Dobrik. I've listened to like crime stuff, and every one of those except for the H3H3 podcast is done. It's recorded and then edited, although you don't really edit much, and then it's uploaded. H3H3 is done live. And I was thinking about doing that, but the thing about a live podcast, which would happen to me, is I feel like I would get distracted by the comments. And also, if I mess up, like if I just start rambling, there's no way to delete it. Although I don't do that anyway. But I don't know, it kind of freaks me out. The idea of just talking for 45 minutes and trying to be entertaining, it doesn't seem like that much at first, but then when you actually start to do it, there's always a part of me that's like, don't do the podcast. Or there's also a part of me that's like, this podcast is garbage. And it could very well be garbage. But it's hot garbage that you are listening to. So I gotcha. But special guest is the Internet. And what I was thinking about earlier, which I always think about how to do things at times when I cannot do them. Like I'll be sitting in a car and then I'll have this idea. I'm like, you know, it'd be great for a TV show. And then I'll have this really good idea and then I'll just forget about it. And it will never happen again because I wasn't in the moment. But I just thought of it. I want to get a soundboard for this podcast. And I don't even know. Wait, they have a meme soundboard? I'm trying to think of how a soundboard works. Oh, wait. This might work. Because I have a USB audio interface. And it has an extra slot open for like an XLR cable or a line in. And I don't know how they work. I probably shouldn't look this up. But if anyone here knows how to get a soundboard, so then I can just hit the button and I'll have special effects. It'll make this whole thing. It'll suddenly go from having 30 to 40 viewers per episode to about 150, which is a huge jump. That probably won't happen. You know what I was thinking about? What the heck? What is this? I was thinking about how I don't actually like streaming. It's not my favorite because I always get into, like, I'll see someone on Twitch streaming and I'll be like, that looks really fun. I want to do that. And then I'll stream and then I'll just get really tired and I won't have a lot of energy afterwards. And then I won't feel like I have a finished product. Because when I do a video, the playing the video game, it actually isn't that fun for me. I've noticed that I don't like video games as much as I used to. Even a game like Fortnite, I think it's fun, but I don't like, the part of me that craves playing Fortnite is just because it's I'm a little kid. But when I actually start playing it, it's not like I'm having so much fun. And even FIFA, it's not like I'm having a ton of fun. But what I have a ton of fun doing is creating the video, like editing the video. And so that's why I don't think streaming is the right thing for me, for streaming video games. Because afterwards I sit there and I'm like, well, that was kind of a waste of a day. I just wanted an excuse to play video games all day. It's almost like just take streaming out of the equation. It's the same as if I just spent 9 hours playing a video game. I remember I was doing this in last year when FIFA, what are we in, FIFA 18 or FIFA 19? FIFA 17, I was playing the weekend league and I would have 8-hour streams and I would be streaming for like 4 people. And I would be like, yeah, I accomplished so much. I got gold 1 for the week. I entertained 4 people for several hours. And then afterwards I'm like, that was such a waste of time. And I don't mean to be like you guys weren't entertained, because maybe you were, those 4 people. But I could have made a video that I was proud of, that I could show people. Like, I was definitely proud of the achievement of getting gold 1 or completing a weekend league. But I don't know, I just felt like I felt gross afterwards. I didn't feel fulfilled. That's interesting to talk about, because I've noticed with videos, with FIFA videos, it's almost like the equivalent of working out for me. And what I mean by that is I don't work out consistently, like every day, even though I should. But I do notice that whenever I work out, whether it's running or like just doing some pull-ups or something, I feel really good for the rest of the day. You know, the endorphins that you get. And then I'm like, I felt so good. Why didn't I do this every day? But then I don't do it every day because the thought of having to do it and how it's difficult, because it's definitely not easy to just pull yourself up like 50 times in a day. But then even though I know the consequences, I'm going to feel really good, I still don't do it just because I don't want to feel bad for that, however long I do the workout for, which is stupid, and I should do it more. And the same thing can be said about making a FIFA video, because to be completely honest, I don't love the process of making a video as much as I used to. There's still definitely aspects I do like, but there are a lot of aspects which I don't really like. Like with editing, I enjoy the creative part, but the part about just cutting, like, okay, I got to get rid of all the space where I'm not talking. It takes like 20 minutes and is super boring and I hate it. And I wish there was a way to just tell a robot to do it, because it's not creative. It's just cutting, and like I'll be listening to a podcast while doing that. It's just mindless work. And I don't enjoy that part. There are parts of setting up everything and like recording the whole 3 games. Sometimes I'll get into the second game and I'll be like, damn, I got a whole nother FIFA game. And I'm not saying this because I want people to pity me in the comments and be like, don't do what you want, or do what you want. Don't play games that you don't like. Play some new games. Because I've tried this before where I play other games and edit them, but they are just not as interesting to edit as FIFA is. To be honest, even going back to when I was like 8 or 9 years old or 10 years old and I was playing a bunch of video games, I don't think I actually liked the video game that much. I don't think I've ever been a huge fan of a video game for the gameplay, except maybe Call of Duty I really liked, like Modern Warfare 2. But for all the sports video games, it was never about the playing the game, like the actual game itself. It was always about the story. In the last, I think it was the last podcast or 2 podcasts ago, I mentioned how I liked to create a team in college football. I was the manager, and I'd take a team that was a lower level and make it into a powerhouse, and how I thought that was really cool. And that is the whole reason, that was the catalyst for why I liked playing video games, was just to create a story. It was never about the game. That's, to be honest, this is kind of, I don't think I've mentioned this on the podcast. I found YouTube because of this very reason. I had heard, the year is probably like 2006 or 2007, and I had heard on the internet or seen a video or something about this basketball game in which you would create a player and then create, it would be about you living your life, and you could like buy houses and drive cars. It was basically Grand Theft Auto, but then in a basketball game. And I thought, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. And I had already had the idea before when I was younger. I'm like, they should make a video game where you live the life of a basketball player. Because when I was younger, I wanted to be a professional athlete. I thought I would become a baseball player, or like a basketball player was like my backup plan. Because I'm like, yeah, I can definitely make it in anything I try. No problems. So I was like, yeah, I might as well prepare myself for my life as a professional basketball player. So of course, when I heard that idea, which I don't think actually exists, which could be an avenue for someone who's a game developer, just combine NBA 2K My Career mode with Grand Theft Auto, that'd be really cool. I thought that was really cool, and I was looking for it on the internet, and I couldn't find anything. So then I was disappointed for a couple years, and then in 2010, I think 2009 or 2010, I had heard from GameSpot. GameSpot was the game review website. I heard that they had this actual game mode in NBA 2K games called My Career, and it was just, you create a player, you play it, take through a full 82 game season, you like become an NBA champion. And I was like, that's so cool. I'm going to buy an Xbox 360. I'm going to buy Xbox Live. I'm going to buy these games just for this reason. And so I immediately went to YouTube, and I found Chris Smoove, because he was like one of very few people, he's probably the first, who was making NBA 2K My Career videos. And I binge watched those so hard. I really like Chris Smoove. I still watch his videos today. I don't watch as many as I used to. But what I used to do in 8th grade was I would eat dinner, and it'd probably be like 8 or 9 o'clock, and I would just have my mom's laptop, and I would be in my basement. I'd be in my basement, and our internet the Wi-Fi was like really bad in the basement for some reason. It probably still is, which is why I use wired connections. And so I would open up 5 different tabs of Chris Smoove, Modern Warfare 2, or NBA 2K video games, just his videos. So I'd have like 5 or 6, because it would take a ton of time for them to buffer. So then I would watch one, and it'd probably get about a minute in before it had to start buffering. So I'd pause that. Then I'd go to the next video. I'd watch a minute of that until it started buffering. Pause that one, go to the next video, and just keep going through until I got like a whole video. And I would spend hours just watching those, and it was so much fun. Even today, I still like watching videos that are about like career modes. But the thing that I don't like, which is strange, and I don't think most people will agree with this, is in something like that, I prefer for the game developers not to create the story for me. The thing that I don't like about NBA 2K is they've created a storyline that you have to follow no matter what. And basically, like I understand what they're trying to do. In the last NBA 2K game, it was like your dad died and you're raised by like a single mother, and it's supposed to kind of reflect like a lot of African American children's lives in the United States, which I totally understand, and it was a good story. But honestly, I would prefer to create my own story. And I don't mean that I want to create cutscenes and everything, but I just want to create the story in my head. Like, that's where the fun is. When I was creating those games, or when I was playing those games where I was like the head football coach, I remember specifically I took I moved from San Jose State to Tennessee somehow. Like that's a pretty big jump in terms of college football. And I was the head coach of Tennessee. And then we had like a 79 rated overall linebacker, middle linebacker. His stats weren't good. He wasn't a great player. But somehow, because I was just user controlling him the whole time, I made him into an All-American, like a first-team All-American. To put this in terms of like soccer that some people might understand, I'm trying to think of someone who's a bad center back. I took Dejan Lovren and I turned him into the player of the year in the Premier League. Something like that. I made him a team of the year center back. And I just thought it was cool. And I was creating this whole storyline in my head about how his name was like something Brown and how he was always an undersized linebacker, but he, through hard work and through overcoming adversity, he just became a linebacker who was the best player in the country. And that was something that I was creating in my head. And I mean, that's why I like to just have a blank space to do that. I don't want to have really cheesy storylines that are just kind of pushed into my face, because I can understand. I can't really relate to everything though. So, I mean, I understand why they want a storyline, but for me, I personally just prefer to have my own storyline in my head. Also, in the most recent one in NBA 2K18, they made the storyline just so stupid and annoying. You have this Asian friend who's really annoying, and they just like you're a rapper, and you guys always try to start rapping, and no one likes it. I think the only people who like it are really, really little kids, like 8-year-olds. Because in the comments of all these Chris Move videos, I think that his audience is probably shifted towards a younger audience at this point. You still have some older people, but I'd say probably like 13 to 18 is the major demographic. They all just slate how stupid the storyline is, because it really is incredibly dumb. And I don't know. I've always felt that they were just kind of cheesy. The NBA 2K17 one, the one where like your dad dies and you're raised by your own mother, that one wasn't bad. Like I would still prefer not having the storyline, but in comparison to the other things, that was definitely the best. I remember one NBA 2K15, your nickname was Freakin' and Vibin' or something, or you were Freak FREQ, because you were like a DJ or something. I don't know. No, that's this year. Your name is DJ because you're a DJ, and then people are like, "What's up, man? What's your name?" You're like, my name's DJ. And it's just so cringy. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Video game developers are just huge nerds. To any of my video game developers out there, what's up? What's up, man? You're a huge nerd, though. Speaking of huge nerds, apparently everyone thinks I'm a huge nerd. What's up with that? When did that happen? What is this? If you guys didn't know, I also didn't know until the Fortnite stream alerted me, the people in the chat. So yesterday I made my video where I donated the money I made from YouTube in May to a charity. Stuff I mentioned in the previous podcast, I believe. Maybe the one before that. And so I didn't really expect, I mean, I had a feeling this could happen, but someone made a long transaction appreciation post on Reddit saying how I'm a really good guy for donating money. And I do appreciate it. I don't think I'm a great guy, because I think most people would do something similar. Maybe not donate everything, but I feel like most people are genuinely good people inside. So I appreciate the appreciation post, but I wasn't like fishing for compliments. But anyway, with that appreciation post, I was reading the comments. Let me see if I can pull those up. And it was kind of funny, because I got it here. I'll read the post. So the title is Appreciation for Long Transaction YouTuber. And he writes, just want to give a shout out to this guy. I've been watching his videos for some time and I find them entertaining. Saw a video where he donated all his May YouTube earnings to charity. He said to do so moving forward. It wasn't a massive amount. It wasn't looked to get praises, but he's just a good guy. That's giving back. Good on him. That's all. And so that was nice. And then this is the top comment. Yes, this guy is so awkwardly funny. It's great. Like that, I understand you're saying awkwardly funny. Like I'm purposely playing a character that's awkward, but it's sometimes I blend the two where it's not always a character. It's actually my own personal decision. Wait, where's here? Yeah, nice to see him getting some love on here. Super awkward guy, but my favorite FIFA content creator by far. I appreciate the favorite FIFA content creator, but why am I a super awkward guy? Higgins is the guy. He's the super awkward guy. Another one. This is from Mini Flat. This is so cool. I've been watching him for a year. He's such a weird guy, but I love it. Higgins is the weird guy. I don't think I'm weird. Someone else writes, "Don't forget to spray your pants." This is so funny. And wait. Okay, someone else writes, "Long transaction is pretty cool. I like his buyer now. He's funny AF, and he seems very good at the game. And remember, don't forget your spare pants." Don't forget to spay your pets. Don't forget to spay your pets. Don't forget your spare pants. Don't forget to spray your pants. How many? Is this going to become a meme? Don't forget to fillet your ants. Don't forget to pray for cramps. Don't forget to lay your dabs. Don't forget to, I don't know. I can't think of any. Maybe you guys can do some. Yeah. I guess I'm doing my job because, to be honest, I've been going for the awkward thing with Higgins. I have a gnome. I have a red fedora. And it's I had glasses. I got rid of those. And it's working. And you know what? I think it's more interesting to have a character than to be your own person. Right now I'm being my own person, but I'm also kind of being a character at the same time. Like, it's weird because the worlds have blended. If I were being my normal person, I would not be saying words because normally I'm really just quiet. Like, I don't say things. I don't know. I just think that's really funny how people perceive you. Because I had always thought that sometimes, I know that a lot of the viewers are foreign, and I'm not saying they're dumb, but I'm saying that sometimes it might be difficult for the humor that I'm trying to portray to reach other cultures, because they might not have the same kind of humor. Like, I know British humor is different than American humor. British humor is like really dry. It's kind of what I try to do. And American humor, depending on who's doing it, can just be more slapstick, or just, if it's Lele Pons, it's terrible, but that's it's beside the point. So the Sidemen charity match was yesterday. I don't know if you guys watched it. I really like watching these. I've watched every Sidemen charity match. I've watched every Wembley Cup. I don't always watch the Sunday League videos and like #United videos, just because I like to see live games. I really do enjoy football. Like, I like football. I would go to the park and I would just watch Sunday League teams play, just because I think it's cool. I like the sound of the ball being kicked. It's just nice. I like the grass. It's a big field. It looks so much fun to run around in. And I just like to break down the game and try to understand how it's played, even if there are no tactics to be had, kind of like in yesterday's Sidemen charity match. Kind of just threw things out the window and just kick the ball as hard as you can. But you know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about how Rice Gum was there. Rice Gum. I don't care about anything that, I don't personally like him. I think he's a bad YouTuber, and I don't like how he makes fun of little kids. But Rice Gum was playing center forward, or like striker, or cam, or something. He was an attacking player. And the True Geordie was mentioning how he's seen some of his videos of playing basketball and he thinks he's athletic. I haven't seen those videos, but when I heard that, I thought, oh, maybe Rice Gum's actually really athletic and I didn't know. Maybe he'll surprise me. He had the worst. It was so bad. It was like he had never kicked anything in his life. I mean, watching him try to kick a football hurt my knee, because have you ever you've seen people who like extend their leg fully when they kick a ball? That's not how you're supposed to kick, but like he'll just kick it and his leg will be straight. Oh no, boys. We were getting the blinking light of doom. The blinking light of doom. Oh crap. This is what I get for not being prepared. I might have to switch to good old webcam here. I'll get it set. I'm just such a dumb mug. You know what this could be? This could be a blessing in disguise. Because maybe there's something else. Okay, there's no. It's just called me being a dumb mug. I'm gonna have to start recording this. I'm gonna need to clap in here. Guys, I'm gonna have to clap. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is just so bad. If Eduardo, my gnome, had remembered, we wouldn't be in the situation. Also, I was thinking of. Okay, hold on. Let me put this thought away. Return to the Rice Gum. Rice Gum was really bad, and he kept trying to kick the ball, and he would just whiff entirely, and it was really awkward to see, and it was almost kind of embarrassing. But the thing is, I think at a certain point he started to kind of understand that he wasn't good, so it was almost a comedy aspect for the crowd, which good for him, I guess, for understanding situations. But I mean, it's just really cringy to see someone, because he seems like the kind of person who before this he would be talking about how he's really good at sports, and then when he actually gets down to it, he's not good. But anyway, this is all to say, Sidemen Charity Match, if you do another edition, or if there's another YouTuber soccer match, football match, I'm right here. My name is Higgins. I kick balls sometimes, and I'm definitely available. So please, let me spay your pets. Now bringing that other thing back, I put it over here and I remembered to bring it back. This whole situation with the battery wouldn't be happening if I could get one of those things that is a battery, but it hooks up to an AC adapter, so you can just plug it into an outlet. And I don't understand why this isn't a thing. I have a theory as to why it's a thing, but just to explain that one more time, with DSLR cameras like the one I'm using right now, you have to charge the camera battery by putting it into a charger and then plugging the charger into the wall. Then you take the charger out of the wall, you unplug the battery, and then you stick it into your camera. And without the camera charged, you can't use it. And without the battery charged, it's useless. And you can't have the battery inside of the camera charging at the same time. But they do make some stuff that allows for that, where it hooks into the wall and hooks directly into your camera. But it's like $150. And I haven't actually seen one for this camera. I've seen them for Canons, and I think for other types that aren't my brand. And my theory as to why they do that is because the camera people want you to spend money, because it's really expensive to buy additional batteries. It's probably like at least $60. And it's so annoying, because this happens a lot where it's just an inconvenience that I don't have the camera charged enough. When I used to record videos, I used to use one of those handheld cameras, and I would have to charge it. It was a Canon. I'd have to charge the thing, and it would be just such a huge nuisance. Now I luckily have this webcam, which is probably the same video quality, and it's not great, but it does the job. It's not as good as this DSLR. But I remember in college, things would happen where I knew as soon as I got home I wanted to record a video, but I didn't have the camera battery charged. And it wasn't like a thing where you could just keep it plugged into the wall, because if you overcharge stuff, then the battery dies quickly. And it's so annoying, because You have to time it perfectly, and then it only lasts maybe an hour and a half. And so I knew my sister would be home, and I'd have to text her and be like, hey, can you plug the thing in the wall? And it suddenly became a thing. Like the first time I told her that, she was like, what do you plug the thing in the what? And then it eventually became a thing where every day at around 2 o'clock, I was leaving my German class and I was going home. I was getting on a bus, and I knew I wanted to record a video immediately. And so I would just text her, like, plug the thing. And plug the thing could mean several different things, but she knew it meant to just put the charger in the wall. So camera makers, if you're watching this, first of all, please sponsor me so then I have $1 billion. But also, like, just let us plug stuff into the wall, man. I don't get it. Just, it's so, like, why you gotta be so expensive? Another thing that happened, so I have some expendable money, like expendable income, because I don't spend money on stuff. It's just not, it's not how I work. I try to save a lot of money because, oh no, the battery's dead. You guys hear the battery of doom? All right, switching to camera 2 now. What's up, camera 2? The battery of doom. That was a harsh sound. But the thing I don't like about, actually, I don't know if I want to switch to camera 2. Okay, the thing I don't like about, what am I saying? Oh man, I've been thrown off my game by the camera of doom. There's just such a shrill sound. Couldn't it have been like a nice Asian lady? This is an Asian camera. Like, you could have just had like a Hello Kitty person go, goodbye. Instead it's, bah, bah, like a fire is going off. That sounded worse than my alarm to wake me up in the morning. That was just a terrible sound. I thought it was going to go on for a longer time. I mean, we got 35 minutes out of that. I left it on overnight. It's kind of my fault, but I mean, that's still pretty good. I hope it doesn't corrupt the file, though. That would be really bad. Part of me wants to restart the whole live stream. I mean, the whole podcast, because to be honest, I think it's been a subpar podcast. But at the same time, you want the raw footage, right? You guys like the raw footage. Out of all the podcasts that I've listened to, the only one that I've heard where they mention that they actually do redo podcasts is the Views David Dobrik one. And when someone just mentions that they redid a podcast, for me it like ruins the luster, because I want to hear it the first time. You know what I'm saying, guys? Anyway, also, I'm just realizing now this is a podcast, so why does the video matter? Wait, what the heck? Why is this a big deal for me? If the video doesn't matter, it's a podcast to be heard. I could have nothing. I could have a still frame of my stupid, goofy-looking face, and it would not take away from the podcast at all. I don't get it. What is the point of videoing a podcast? But at the same time, the Tiny Meat Gang podcast, they video it, and when they don't video it, I'm like, bro, what the heck, man? Where's the video? Bro, what is this? How am I supposed to watch this? You're taking away from my viewing experience. When now I'm just realizing, when they aren't mentioning it, I don't even watch the screen. I'll just have it on in the background. And I don't intend on watching it. This wouldn't be a problem if I had the adapter. And I also don't know how long I've been going now, because I've been using the camera to explain. Speaking of cameras, my friend has a Canon 80D. If you don't know what a Canon 80D is, it's the camera that all YouTubers use. And it's a really fancy DSLR. And he also has a really good camera lens to go with it. And yesterday I was at his apartment and we were fooling around with it. And oh my gosh, man, that thing is it's so crisp. It looks like a movie. I don't think I've ever seen a camera in person that looks that good. And it's weird to see a camera that's such good quality and it's relatively small. I mean, hey, buddy, I'm doing a podcast.
Sorry.
I mean, we have Ernesto, special guest.
Special guest.
My camera died.
Ernesto the guesto.
I want more brownies.
Oh, I think they're gone. The milk,
I ate all the
the milk
brownies.
upstairs was so bad.
The milk was bad.
Mom couldn't tell.
Wait, was it the one that
the
was...
one that smelled June 8th?
Oh, yeah, I tried
Yeah,
that. And I thought it was weird, and I threw it
was
out.
really bad. And mom kept saying, "Let me try it." And then she tried a little. She swallowed. She's like, "I cannot tell."
I couldn't
And
figure it out.
It was so sour.
It was like kind of weird, and I thought it was the brownie that I ate.
No.
Okay.
The milk is bad.
Well, it's good to know that we've been drinking bad milk, and that could explain a lot. If you know what I'm hinting at, boys and girls, that might be too much information for you all, but I'm just gonna hint at it anyway. We've been going for about 36 minutes. I think this has been a good podcast. You know what? I need to stop being so harsh on myself. I always want to try to reinvent the wheel. The wheel? Sometimes I become really southern. Have you guys ever noticed that? If you didn't know, I am from the south of the United States, but I try not to speak with a southern accent because I personally don't like the southern accent. But some words I will just say and I'll be exceptionally southern. Like, the word OIL. I think you guys know what OIL is, but I will pronounce it oil. I'll say olive oil. That is the most southern thing in the world to say. Y'all want some olive oil? The only thing, instead of olive oil, you could say, y'all want some peanut oil for your fried chicken? That's very southern. That's a southern thing to say. And I just try not to speak like a southerner, and I don't know why. Usually I don't have an accent, just because I've been around people for a significant portion of my life who are not from the South, and communicating with them, it's kind of difficult to listen to a southern accent. If you guys didn't know, my mom is not from the United States. She's from the Philippines, and so she has an accent. She speaks English fluently, but she's been in the South for 20 years too, so she's gotten accustomed to it. But definitely with really thick southern accents, she can't understand what the hell you're saying. The same thing can be said about me. Like really, really thick southern accents, I will not understand. We were watching my mom and dad were watching this TV show probably last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. And it was about this really mountain folk guy. And I think he was playing banjos or something. And he had such a thick southern accent, I couldn't understand what he was saying. And I just see my mom sitting there, and she's been watching it for like half an hour. And I'm looking at her. I'm trying to figure out, does she know what's going on? And so I finally say, Mom, do you know what he's saying? And she's like, huh? No. Oh, no, I just like the banjos. I was like, that is so funny. And it's weird to think that I always say, I have to preface my things. If you guys didn't know, I really like foreign languages. And so I have a tendency to go onto the internet and try to find videos like in Italian or Spanish and German. And I just want to be treated like a normal German, like a normal Italian, because I think that's the best way to learn a language, is to just pretend you're part of their culture. So I will watch videos that aren't made specifically for people trying to learn a language, and they just talk so much quicker, and the intonation in their voice is a lot different, and the pronunciation's different, because you're not worrying about being understood. You're just worried about explaining your topic. It's not so much about how you say it, it's about what you say. That's actually, that's a good way to put it. And so when I watch those, especially if it's a language that I haven't listened to in a long time, or if one that I don't know the vocabulary for the topic, I will sit there and I will not understand what's going on at all, but I'll still continue to watch it. And sometimes I'll even think, wow, this is a really good show. And it's not that I have any idea what's going on, but it's just from watching a video, you're able to kind of piece things together. It's not like with a podcast. I've tried the same thing with podcasts in German. It doesn't always work because, first of all, German's pretty difficult. My language learning, my German's okay. I can speak German pretty decently, but my vocabulary is not as good, especially when it comes to specific topics like the political structure. And for some reason, all the podcasts that I find in German are either about like there's one from Die Zeit, which is the Time, or the Times, whatever you call it, which is a big newspaper in Germany, and they have a bunch of podcasts online, and there's one that's like the news, but it's always political news, and I have no idea about the political system in Germany. Like I learned about it in school a little bit, but I don't really know exactly what's going on. And for the most part, it's just them talking and me being like, "Oh, he said schnitzel. I know what the schnitzel is." And yeah, it's just kind of funny because I'll continue listening to it and I don't know what's going on. And that makes me think of my mom just sitting there going, "Oh, I like the banjos." There's also a podcast. So Die Zeit makes the news podcast, which explains what happened the previous day. Then they also have Ist das normal? Which means, is that normal? And the first time I saw that, I'm like, oh, this looks kind of interesting. And then the first things I hear is, this is a sex podcast. And I'm like, oh, a sex podcast, eh? And that's not exactly what I intended to click on. And now if you go to my Spotify at work, it'll just be like recent searches. It's a bunch of German rap. And then it's just like Die Zeit sex podcast. If you guys are in the mood for a interesting podcast, go check that out. Shout out to Die Zeit. Die Zeit. If anyone here is German and listens to the podcast, let me know. I want to say wassup. Wie geht's? I like my German friends. Germans are cool. Italians are cool. People are cool in general. Thank you guys for bearing with me in this very hectic podcast. I think it was let me know if you like the ones that are more hectic or the ones that have a camera for the entirety of the thing. I don't know. I think I'm a perfectionist too much. Like I'm a perfectionist to a fault. And that's something I need to work on because sometimes you gotta just understand what's going on. If I were not a perfectionist, you would see a ton more videos. Not necessarily FIFA videos, but I mean videos on this channel. Just like me doing vlogs and stuff. The reason I never did vlogs was because I never understood the purpose. But then now that when I say I don't understand the purpose is I don't think that there's a clear story, and I want to like edit the story and then make a bunch of cuts into it and just really mold it into something. I need to understand how natural things still have their own story. This is because, oh my gosh, guys, this has come full circle. So I was talking about how I didn't like how video games will create their own story because I don't think that's genuine. And I wanted to create my own story. Now, I'm telling myself that vlogs don't need to have a story structured within them because the story will be inherent. There will be a story just by editing things together because that's how things work. Life is a story, and I just need to film it. I don't need to try to structure it to reach a certain thing, just like the video game people don't need to try to structure a story. Because you guys, the audience, will have your own interpretation, just as I had my own interpretation when I played the video games. That was really cool. Ernesto, shout out to you. Thank you guys for joining. I'm going to try to buy a soundboard so this can become even higher quality. And while I'm out there, I might look for an extra charger for my battery. Thank you guys for joining. Hope you spay your pets. That's not the ending. What is it? Thank you guys for joining. Don't forget to spay your pets.